burden of pursuit of knowledge. Anyone else? Okay.
See the universe as the place where you can know your strengths, what you've been purposed and willed for.
Okay. Okay. I like those answers. We will come back to that once we get through the questions. And okay, first question, number one. First thing that Garvey talks about, what has been the eternal puzzle that contains universal knowledge beyond the knowledge of our own world? Eternal puzzle contains universal knowledge.
The universe.
Yes, he said the riddle of the universe, but yes, the universe. All right. Okay, let me come back to wait. I gotta figure out how to hide this. Give me a second because I want to read less. Okay. I know you can't see it, but yeah, I gotta do this right. So y'all can see it. I'm gonna jump to question 3 because I messed up the order. But number 3, how do we approach a greater knowledge than those who confine themselves only to the investigation of things that are terrestrial?
How do we approach a greater degree of knowledge than those? By identifying facts of the majority of units in the universe?
Yeah, I think you sounds like you pretty much. Anybody else want to add? It's a long answer from what I show, but that's a good summary.
Never rest.
Never rest.
Never rest with your limited knowledge of the world. Stretch our imagination and gather as much information as possible.
Page 108. I probably should just go to the book. I think that'll be a better. But then reading what I've got. Page 108.
How do we approach a greater degree?
I didn't know
Identify the facts of
to the universe.
the minds of our world.
Where I read that at?
Yep. Never rest with your limited knowledge of the world, but seek to find other knowledge.
Yes.
With which you should be able to lift yourself. That's good.
So yes, the greater minds of our world have experimented, and this is on the first page of the lesson, have experimented and are experimenting in their desire to grapple with all the facts that sustain the universe. No one knows if man will be permitted to enter into the mysterious realms of knowledge, but it's the duty of man to stretch his imagination afield and gather for himself as much information as naturally possible. As Sister Brenda said, never rest, which eliminates
knowledge of the world.
Seek to find other knowledge which you may be able to lift yourself far above that which has been attained or accomplished by man. And then previously, he says, if man succeeds in identifying the facts of the majority of the units of the universe, he approaches a greater degree of knowledge than those who confine themselves only to the investigation of things terrestrial. All right. So this is a tough lesson about stretching our knowledge. Why does this look like that? Stretching our knowledge, but Garvey summarizes it in the end. Oh, crap. But we will get to that. And why is this like that? Oh, it's because of this box. This box is messing it up. Okay. And the second question I had was, what does terrestrial mean? Oh, I gave the answer, I guess. But what does terrestrial mean? Because this talks about terrestrial, and we should know what that word means.
Earthly?
Yes, pretty much. Of or relating to the earth. Of or relating to earth and its inhabitants. So when they use the term extraterrestrial, they're talking about, beings that come from outside of the world or outside of this world. So terrestrial deals with earth, as Sister Marvia said, earthly beings. Number 4, what is one way that man can become, quote, a hero and an immortal? What is one way that man can become a hero and an immortal?
Carry an observant eye.
An observant eye?
Yeah.
I think it was more to it than that.
Yeah.
Analytic mind. Being able to perceive, to discover exceptional things.
There you go.
Is that I thought it was about providing
truth for which mankind is in need.
There we go.
Or searching for.
What page is that on?
Oh, what did you say, Sister Brenda?
Discover a truth for which mankind has been searching for or is in need of.
That's a good one. That sums it up.
So I've got in my answers, I got page 109 and 110. When he has discovered a truth for which mankind is in need for or searching for, leaving behind a never dying name because of the exceptional things that you have been able to perceive and discover through the hidden mirror of universality. Observe well and see what mankind sees most in addition to what they have, and bring it to them. So
discover a truth
for which mankind is in need for or searching for. And that's what put Garvey in that immortal realm, by providing for us and organizing us into one body for all of our people throughout the world. He looked out, he saw a need, and he provided that need. And, for that, he will be immortalized. And now it's up to us in our time to take it to the next level and challenge ourselves as to, what our legacies will be. But yeah, I think legacy is a good word. Well, no, that's probably not the best word, but it's a good word. It's always a good word. Any questions so far? I don't want to go too fast. Delete this one. All right, number 5. If there's a mountain, it suggests what is behind it. And what was Garvey trying to communicate with this statement? If there's a mountain, it suggests what is behind it. And what is Garvey trying to communicate with this statement? Page 109, 110.
There's more to what you see.
Yeah. So the first part is a valley would be behind it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but there's more to what you see.
If there's a mountain, it is suggestive that there is a valley behind it.
Yes. I'm trying to find it. Where's that in the book?
Page 109, last paragraph.
9. Wow. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. So, what I had was, you're right about the valley, but it comes down to finding the hidden cause to the visible effect. The example that I used last year was the Big Bang, but the fact that scientists say that the planets are, or the universe is expanding, would imply that at one time it was all in one space. But let me go to the reading on this, because I think this is fairly important. But just because you see something, there may be more to it than that. And that's what this lesson is about. It's going beyond, intelligence, man, character, Christ and God. And it's really challenging us to, one of the words that Garvey used earlier was to think lofty, but to have higher thoughts than the common man. And he also said that would be a way, I forgot exactly how it benefits us, but this is what this lesson is about, is expanding our thinking. Find the cause to justify the effect. The effect is visible everywhere, but the cause is generally hidden. Follow the line by degrees until you approach the start, the beginning, the source. Never stop halfway, but go right through. If you have good grounds to believe that there is something beyond. If there is a mountain, it's suggestive that there is a valley behind it. Don't rest with the mountain because you see it. Search for the valley because there may be much hidden there. Never cease studying the ideas or the facts that may lead you to a definite conclusion. But we can't rest with the visible effect. We must also investigate the hidden cause.
I like what you said just now. Would you repeat?
The whole thing?
Yeah. Don't rest. What did you say? There's something more to the hidden effect. I'm sorry.
Yes, don't rest with the mountain because you see it. Wait, I think that was something that I said. Like, that wasn't something that I read. I can't remember what I said though.
Yeah, you said something very profound there.
It's on the recording.
Okay.
But all right, we gotta keep going. Thank you. So yes, the valley and find the hidden cause to the visible effect. What were some of the examples that Garvey gave to individuals who became immortal through their contributions to mankind? And in addition to what Garvey gave, I'd like us to expand on what Garvey gave. So who were some examples that Garvey gave for immortal individuals?
Edison, Stevenson, Fulton, and Harvey.
Yep, absolutely.
But what about Dr. Martin Luther King?
Well, that was after Garvey, but we can say that.
Yeah.
Malcolm X.
Malcolm X, yes.
Garvey, I would put Garvey in there as well. But yes, you absolutely. Let me read what Garvey. Anybody else want to add before I start reading? All right. The things of this world have become common because most of them have been revealed as far as we know, but there are uncommon things even on this earth, and much so in the universe, that we may search after and make use of as we make use of things today, brought to us through the probing genius of other men who saw the need for more and searched for it and brought it to mankind. Edison saw the need for more light and he brought more brilliant electricity. Stevenson saw the need for more speed and he brought the rapid moving engine with steam. Fulton saw the need for more river transportation and quicker speed and he brought his steamboat. Harvey saw the need for conquering the mystery of the human system and revealed the circulatory system. These are the examples that he lists, but I think it's very ironic, that this is the course of African philosophy and we couldn't get no African examples, Shaka Zulu, Narmer, Imhotep, some other African leaders. But that's why I asked us, we have to expand upon this list. I don't think, these are the examples that Garvey had in his time. We could say, I think we could say individuals like, Elon Musk or, Mark Zuckerberg or Bill Gates, if we wanted to. But I think we have to challenge ourselves, to provide examples that will make our future proud. So this is one area where I don't disagree with Garvey, but I challenge, the fact that he used these examples. So any questions, comments on this?
What about like Nelson Mandela?
Yes.
Even here in the United States, people who have contributed to institutions, Black people who they saw a need.
Booker T. Washington, yeah.
Booker T. Washington, yes.
Why I don't understand why that wasn't an example that Garvey used. That was his inspiration, but I just think we have an obligation to give some African examples.
Right.
Well, I would say that he didn't name any, he named more scientific discoveries. So maybe George Washington Carver.
Yes.
Yes. And but Carver was a contemporary of Garvey, right? They lived in the same time.
So that's what I'm saying, maybe, but you're right. He's looking at people before him. So I think maybe the fact that we didn't have recognition for the science and the
I guess colonialism.
Right.
Colonialism took a hold that I guess we were looking to the colonial masters, those people from Europe, to see the greatness rather than looking at our own selves. And in most recent times, what about the people who have done some inventions here, like the people, I'm thinking of this man, but I don't remember his name, who invented the polisher, the floor polisher? Somebody who did some inventions here in the United States.
We have individuals, he mentions Edison, but when you talk about colonialism and recognition, he may not have known about Lewis Latimer, because to my knowledge, Lewis Latimer was the African real inventor, but his ideas were taken by Edison. But it could have been imperialism. So
yeah, and his background, he's from Jamaica, which is a colony, and a British colony. So I would think, it would be limited to his exposure to other people.
And I agree that probably in that time, maybe Lewis Latimer's contributions were not known, as you said at first. And it may have been that, as we're doing research, we're discovering that what people have done. But I can remember even as a child that there were a lot of discoveries that they were just finding out about in my lifetime, so.
Yes. Let me read the next paragraph because I like that. Y'all know I touch on these type of things, like looking out. Well, observe well and see what mankind needs most in addition to what they have, and try to bring it to them. That is the way you stand out in immortality, as these men do stand out among us today, even though they are dead, and some of them have been dead for ages. So that's a big part. I think that's a big responsibility that we should take away as participants in this course, is to look out into our communities and see what we need as a people, and make sure that we bring that to a reality.
Is that like supply and demand?
Supply and demand. I think that's more so necessity is the mother of invention.
Okay.
It may not even be something that is in creation, but we have to bring it into creation.
Okay.
All right, let's see. Next question. What type of people have the ability to see things by looking through the mental darkness? That's a weird question. What type of people have the ability to see things by looking through the mental darkness? That probably won't make it to the exam, but
Dreamers, the dreamer,
the subconscious.
subconscious manipulator.
So let me jump over to the text really quick, and then I'll unveil. It is the dreamer, the subconscious manipulator who see things by looking through the mental darkness. Therefore, see things for yourself and see them in a way that, and see then in a way that mysterious universe. Okay. I'll read it one more time. It is the dreamer, the subconscious manipulator who sees things by looking through the mental darkness. Therefore, see things for yourself and see them. It's got to be them in a way. No, that's see then in a way that mysterious universe.
It's then. I had to reread it also.
In a way that mysterious universe.
Right. Because he's talking about the mysterious universe that people want to know, that eternal puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you are the dreamer and you're looking through things, through the mental darkness, that gives you a glimpse into the mysterious universe.
Yes. But yes, yeah. Thank you, Secretary General. But yes, is reminding us to have strong, vivid imaginations. When he talked about Einstein, he didn't talk about Einstein, he said Edison, but Einstein, to my knowledge, he came up with his theory of relativity or general relativity while he was working at a patent office. And he was just imagining, as Garvey is saying right here, how gravity works in space, and he was able to, through his imagination, and use of logic and understanding of science, come up with a theory that made sense. So he's just challenging us to go beyond. We'll reach a point, well, you won't reach a point where you read everything in the world, but you won't really be able to learn. There's more to learn than what's in the books. I'll just say it that way. So some of these things we have to create and we have to bring to the world. All right.
Ashe.
Next question. Let's see. This here. Question 8. How can we see as much as Christ saw when he saw God? It's a good question. How can we see as much as Christ saw when he saw God? According to Marcus Garvey. Nobody? Come on, y'all. I know y'all got it. All right. Y'all want me to do it? It's okay.
Look behind the universe.
Garvey uses a weird word, and I kind of got to go to the text to break it down. But what would you say, Brother Art? Because it may be in context.
It says to look behind the universe. And the glorification of his knowledge. I kind of don't understand that. But.
Well, let me. Yeah, you're there. It is said that God is behind the universe. So I think he's saying, when we talk about creator, God is the source of the universe. No man has ever seen God. Suppose you, like Christ, could see God. What a wonder and amazement. Christ saw God behind the universe as man. Christ was an object lesson to man's glorification and knowledge. We talked about that in lesson 6 or 5, one of those two. I think it's 6. But lesson 6, where we talked about Christ as an example. So he says Christ was an object lesson to man's glorification and knowledge. And we talked about how our free will must be in line with the Holy Spirit of goodness, I believe is the words Garvey used. And that is how we emulate Christ's example. Then he says, therefore, if you approach if you approach thought with its deepest sublimity, you may see as much as Christ saw when he saw God. Somebody said something in the chat. Grace first. When you approach thought with its deepest sublimity, you may see as much as Christ saw when he saw God. Anybody want to take a shot at it? Because that is pretty tough.
I actually looked it up because I was thinking of, like, at first that it was subliminal, but that's not what it means.
No, it
means nobility, majestic, supreme, moral, high spiritual, moral, or intellectual worth.
I just got thinking highly in mind. So could you say that one more time, Sister Brenda? What is sublimity? Because I guess that says it in itself in the definition of sublimity.
Yeah, characterized by nobility, majestic, of high spiritual, moral, or intellectual worth.
So
be excelled, supreme.
So, and Garvey uses the word thought. If we approach our thought in alignment with what Sister Brenda just explained, that is how we do our best, to see God, as close to eye with God as possible. I got to be careful with that. So does that help, Brother Art?
Yeah, that helped a lot.
So again, thinking highly, this is a recurring message. Garvey touched on it in earlier lessons, but he's kind of, I think he's hitting it a little bit more in depth in this lesson, kind of expanding upon the limits, so when we talk about the universe, that's the limits of what we should be, the expanse of what we can think about. We should not be confined with, I didn't even know it was a football game last night, honestly, but things like that, like, what's going, what show is coming on, or the things of this world. At the end of the day, there's more to life than this world. So
it's sort of like being at the peak of your thought and your spiritualness,
I would say thought,
consciousness, I guess.
your motivations, and you would do the best to align your character with these ideals.
Yeah, okay.
Any other questions on that? Great question, Brother Art. So yeah, I'm glad we went through that, because it seemed more simple on the surface until you break down sublimity.
Yeah.
All right. I don't even know what time it is, but we good. We'll keep moving. Next question, number 9, and we've only got 16 questions. What created the universe and what will master the universe?
Thought created the universe.
Thought created the universe.
Yeah.
What will master the universe? Did thought create the universe?
Thought will master the universe.
Yes, sir. So according to Garvey, right after that paragraph, it is thought that created the universe. So when we go back to lesson 5, who remembers what God was defined as? We're going way back, but we got to know this stuff. Lessons 1 through 7 is foundational. What is God? What was God described in lesson 5? It's in the beginning of lesson 5. 2 words. Nobody?
Universal intelligence?
Universal intelligence, yes. That was how Garvey described God, universal intelligence. And then he comes back, lesson 13, says it is thought that created the universe. So that universal intelligence, it is thought that will master the universe. So we will never have universal intelligence, but it is our it is us, striving to do the best that we can to achieve as much knowledge as we can and achieve as high of a level of knowledge as we can. And that's what will help us to master the universe. But he also talked about it earlier, with the world. He's saying, like, if you know the world, you can tame it and you can control it. But if you don't know the world will destroy you. But now he's expanding it to the universe and thought. Man must therefore use his thoughts to the limit to get the best results from the universe. No thinking, no knowledge. Proper thinking may lead you suddenly into the conquest of that which heretofore was mysterious. So, we won't achieve it unless we, pursue it, So we must be thinking as highly as possible and acting on a high of a vibration and thought level as possible. But if we desire to be immortal, or even if we don't desire to be immortal, but we should be desiring to provide for the world a need which a majority of people desire. Okay, any questions, comments? So thought created the universe, thought will master the universe. We should be high thinkers. What may lead you suddenly into conquest of that? Oh, I just read this. That which heretofore was mysterious. What may lead you into conquest of that which heretofore was mysterious?
Proper thinking.
Proper thinking? Okay, I was going to say high thought or something. Proper thinking. Okay. Yeah, I just read that. Proper thinking may lead you suddenly into the conquest of that which heretofore was mysterious. So, again, Garvey talked about this in lesson 2. What was it on lesson 2, leadership, where he first said we shouldn't be around people that we can't learn from. But birds of a feather flock together. If no one else is on your level, or not necessarily on your level, that seems arrogant, but if no one is trying to achieve the same goals that you're trying to achieve, you may have to walk alone, and walk with your books, walk with the leaders of the past, but don't let others bring you down. So we must have, maintain, and display proper thinking. Okay, what can we do to climb in excellence to the companionship of the most excellent? What can we do to climb in excellence to the companionship of the most excellent? It's got to deal with thinking. That's it. So,
Think excellently.
right. If man can think most excellently, then he climbs in that excellence to the companionship of the most excellent. As he climbs in his excellence to the most excellent, he shall not be presuming, he shall be taking himself up to the most excellent. That which in other units was not excellent, like the dutiful servant who used his talents and used them well, he shall be possessed of the talent of that servant who hid his and was ultimately deprived of it, for the benefit of that servant who used his because he could appreciate the gift. That was kind of long. As he climbs in his excellence to the most excellent, he shall not be presuming, he shall be taking himself up to the most excellent, that which in other units was not excellent. And like the dutiful servant who used his talent and used them well, he shall be possessed of the talent of that servant who hid his and was ultimately deprived of it, for the benefit of the servant who used his because he could appreciate the gift. That sounds like where Garvey was talking about will, having your own will, and if you don't, then others will have one for you, so yeah. Any questions, comments on this?
I think you just answered the next two questions.
Wow. Okay, well, that's how it works. That's good. We're gonna get through this. How does man in his excellence lift himself highest to God? Mental industry. Okay, by mental industry. Okay. What happens when man has no mental industry? Yeah, he forfeits it. Forfeits that mentality to the useful servant who climbs in his excellence to the most excellent. So yeah, we heard that word before, forfeit. And that's something that we as a people have done subconsciously. I think we've actually been taught to do that here in America, is forfeit our vote, forfeit our labor, our ideas, our self-determination, give that to someone else to handle those responsibilities. But that puts them in a position of, as Garvey said previously, puts them naturally in a position of superiority, and it puts us in a position of inferiority. Any questions? Okay. Garvey, last three questions. Garvey considers the universe bright and beautiful. So where is the darkness? Where does the darkness come from first? And how do we lighten the darkness? If the universe is bright and beautiful, where is the darkness?
It's in us.
Am I sharing the right? I was sharing the book still, wasn't I?
Yeah.
Sorry. Garvey's considered the universe bright. You said it's in us. How do we lighten the darkness?
Good question. Bring down the light knowledge into your soul and flash it something.
Yes. But first, the darkness
through your mind or something like that.
Yes. Bring down the light and knowledge in your soul and flash through your mind like the spark from the thunderbolt, and all creation will ignite into one glorious illumination, and you will pass through the mysteries of the universe with the knowledge and eyes of a God. But the first thing, the darkness is in you. I thought it was other people, but I guess the darkness is in us as a people. Universe is looking through a crystal because beyond you all is bright and beautiful. So beyond us all is bright and beautiful. The darkness is in you.
So see the light, is that the correct answer?
See the light. We want knowledge to lighten our darkness. I believe it's knowledge, because the knowledge is the light. Bring down the light and knowledge into your soul and flash it through your mind like the spark from the thunderbolt. But again, going back to lesson 1, intelligence, education, universal knowledge, and how to get it. We should be studying and reading 4 hours a day, a chapter of the Bible. I would also argue, the Quran as well. That's you need to know that. But if we are doing this, if we are absorbing this knowledge, if we are acting on a high level, a high spiritual level, and trying to acquire a high level of quality knowledge, if we're also using our imagination, to conceive of things that people haven't even thought of or people aren't concerned about on this world, and you start to communicate that and act that out and live that, that's where we are, flashing through our mind like a spark from a thunderbolt, and all creation will ignite in one glorious illumination, pass through the mysteries of the universe with the knowledge and eyes of a God. But he talked about, achieving close as we can to a Christ-like status, seeing as close as we can, eye to eye with God. But I think it comes down to maximizing our potential. As Garvey said before, we're not meant to be servants. We weren't meant to be inferior. The Bible says, we are children of God. We are gods. So we should be acting on our highest potential at the end of the day. Questions, comments? Okay, I don't want to go too far because I might read the last questions. So darkness is in you. We want knowledge to lighten our darkness. Again, institutions, that's the importance of things like this. That's the importance of education. Garvey talked about education in the lesson on man. First, he talked about how man is naturally wicked and vile, but then later on, he talked about education and how we can be taught, to be better people. So education, I would argue, comes through institutions. And again, institutions are children of society. So we build the society, we build the nation, we build the institutions, and then we use the institution to improve the components of the society, which are the men and women. But we have to bring this all together, at the end of the day. And this lesson is just on the universe. So this is even beyond all that stuff I was just saying. What is the goal of enlightenment? What is the goal of enlightenment? That's what we're trying to achieve, or people say you should be achieving. What is the goal of enlightenment?
I actually have the answer that you have for 14. Knowledge to lighten our darkness. Knowledge to lighten our darkness is the goal of enlightenment. Let's see. That makes sense. What do I have? Anybody else before I reveal what I got and go to the text? Goal of enlightenment. To see the light. How about that? The light. Okay. I keep coming there. I got to understand the mysteries of the universe with the knowledge and eyes of God. Illumine the soul, and God's brilliancy will be revealed
as it was revealed to Christ. So page 111. I don't know if he uses the word enlightenment in there though.
No, he had it. No, but your answer is good. I mean, it's better than what I said. So
Okay. I don't know why I used enlightenment. I felt like that's unfair. Give me 1 second. Let me search for enlightenment because I may have to change the wording on that question. Such fraternities. Yeah, this is a previous. Yeah. I don't know why. I don't know why I phrased that like that. Just something to consider. Not necessarily. It won't make it to the test, but. What does Garvey add to the phrase "man, know thyself"? What else do we need to know? When Garvey, know thyself. What did Garvey add to that? Famous.
Know the universe and know God.
Know the universe and know God. Absolutely correct. How do y'all break that down? How do we break that down? Brother Art, how would you break that down? I know you know, I'm putting you on the spot. It's all right.
I think to know thyself first is to you have to understand your surroundings, your interactions. Then to know the universe, you have to know your feelings and what you feel and what you see around you. I don't mean see with your eyes, I mean see with your mind. And then you got to know God. And that's to put everything together to know God, I think. That's what I think.
Makes sense. You got to know, I would say you got to know the universe, you got to know yourself to know God.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to add to that?
Greetings, family. Brother Macias.
Greetings, Brother Macias. How you doing?
Doing pretty good. Sorry for my tardiness today. We were talking about the man know thyself, know thy universe, and then know God. For me, I feel like when you learn yourself, you learn all the components of yourself, and then you realize that all the components that are in yourself are in the universe. And then when you realize that all the components that's in the universe is in God, it becomes a matriculation level of expanding, your connection. So first you have to know yourself to love yourself, but then you learn you love others once you love yourself, and you love all the things in the universe because you expanding your love for things, and then you finally can get to the level where you finally know and love God to the deepest. But I like the order that it's in.
Yeah, it's interesting because when I thought of this earlier, I thought the order was different. I thought it was man, know thyself, and then I thought it was God, and then I thought it was the universe. But this makes more sense, the more I think about it. But we have to know ourselves first. We should be masters of ourselves, our bodies, our muscles, our joints, our bones, our pH balance, everything about ourselves, things that we're allergic to, all of that. We should know ourselves. We should master ourselves. And then, begin to know the universe. We have to learn the universe while we're learning ourselves because we have to survive in the world. But beyond the world, you know, again, Garvey is repeating, we have to, think beyond this world, you know. The great people, the immortal people, they thought beyond this world and what was available, and they provided what the world needed. Any other questions and comments? Go ahead, brother.
I just want to say one last thing to it. For me, I look at it as, for myself, I have to understand failure and triumph. For the universe, I have to understand life and death. And for God, I have to understand good and evil. So kind of like a growing of the two dualities of everything.
That makes sense. That's deep. You know what I'm saying? Anyone else before we go to the reading? And we were supposed to read 2 lessons last week. We may, try to get 2 lessons this week, but any questions, comments before we go to our reading?
Peace and love. I'm over here just getting so pumped up, just reading and looking. I'm ready to run around my block pumped up. Man, that's a powerful statement. You can't do no healing to a nation or our people if you don't know your inner man.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
You gotta know that deep inner, and what parts you don't, that is not going to be conducive to building our community. We get rid of it. Heal that.
Yes, yes.
That's why you got to know yourself in order to know that it's something that needs to be healed.
Yes,
I'm over here pumped up, y'all. I'm just listening and getting fueled.
Yes, ma'am.
That's all I wanted to say. Peace.
Thank you, sister. One thing, one of the takeaways that I wanted to communicate to everybody, as far as this course, you should feel a sense of responsibility at the end of the day. And that responsibility is to be the best representative of yourself and of your race that you can. And then beyond that, we have to teach others how to do the same thing. But when we go through this course, we'll see it when we get to the end. Garvey has some comments about what it means to go through this course, but this is not just a pat on the back and say that you've done it. There's a level of responsibility that comes with these lessons. So I want everybody to keep that in mind. All right, Brother Macy's, will you be reading for us this evening?
Yes.
All right, you have the floor. Thank you, my brother.
Every man is his own responsibility in life. Nature never made anyone.
You gonna read the lesson? What lesson we read?
You're right. Lesson 14, self-initiative. Every man is his own responsibility in life. Nature never made anyone dually, but singly. Therefore, you have your single responsibility. The purpose of life is to live fully. Hence, the single life must be complete. And in fact, it is so with every man. Therefore, it is the duty of every man to fall back on himself for what he wants. It is necessary for a man to use all of his faculties for his own protection. He always has a reserve of self-expression and action upon which to fall to protect and defend himself. Therefore, he must develop his faculties to do the things thoroughly for himself. He must rely upon himself first for initiating all those things that may contribute to his personal well-being. Whatever he wants to do should first come from himself, as he should know what is best for himself. Advice may be helpful, but only to the extent that you have reason and judgment enough to see the value of the advice. Otherwise, it may be harmful. Very few people, if any, who advise others do so completely honestly. Generally, they advise with a motive for which the individual must pay the price, whatever the price may be. Therefore, the best individual policy should be that the individual develop in himself or himself the courage to do things on his or her own account, always counting the cost and benefits or bad results. The person who fails to be true to himself and taking the initiative to do things for himself will ultimately find out that he or she has been a sucker for others. Always surround yourself with the talents of being able to do by yourself so as not to be too dependent. A person who has to depend on others is not himself or herself, but the subject of others. A subject or a medium is apt to break under the influence of the controlling factor. As for instance, a hypnotist who has a controlling factor may so hypnotize his subjects who has controlling. I'm sorry. Let's start over on that sentence. I lost my place. I'm sorry. A person who has to depend on others is not himself or herself, but the subject of others. A subject or a medium is apt to break under the influence of the controlling factor. As for instance, a hypnotist who has controlling factor may so hypnotize his subjects as to cause the subject to lose his or her mind. Therefore, try to never be the subject mentally of a factor, because a factor may destroy your opportunity for self-reliance and self-initiative. Always maintain a strong will and emphasize that strong will even more when from the first reasonable judgments you come to the conclusion that you are right. To come to that conclusion, you must have the facts before you in your mind. If your facts are as good as is known and can possibly be gathered on the particular thing on which a decision is to be based, then don't allow anyone but God Almighty to alter your will, because your will is your decision, and your decision is your intelligence, and your intelligence is your personality, and your personality is your self-confidence and your initiative. Always try to help yourself. Only when you are completely satisfied that you do not have the ability, knowledge, character, and strength to do for yourself should you call anyone to help you. When you ask others to help you over anything, be sure that they are your very, very, very good friends or relatives. Because if the thing you ask them to help you out of may be valuable to you and would be of value to others, they may take the value for themselves. And all that you will get for calling in someone else to do something for you that you should do for yourself is disappointment. You will have the sad experience of learning how bad man is to rob his fellows of their rights. Anything on earth that is of value to you is of interest to the other person. If you have a good idea, try to develop it yourself and master it yourself before you ask for help. For at best, you will have to at least share the results with those who help you. All right. Fear God and know no other fear. There is a God. No man can say that there is no God, because no man is like God. Man is limited in his intelligence at the most, and man knows how insufficient he is between life and death, that he is born without his knowledge and dies without his will or wish. When his birth and death must logically and naturally be controlled by somebody else. It cannot be man, because man is always man, whether he be a big man or a small man. So power that gives birth and causes death must be greater than man's power. Whatever that power is, it must be an absolute power. Some men call it by different names, but they all mean the same thing, and it is God. Therefore, when man says there is no God, he is a fool, for he is not as great as God. Join no one in saying there is no God, and join no man in saying he is God, for it is blasphemy. Fear God, but love God. If you love God, you need not fear God, for God is with you, and you are a part of him in your goodness. You fear God only when you are conscious of being evil or wicked. You love God and work with God while you are good. There is nothing in this world that you should fear otherwise, for everything in this world is subject to you as man. Never fear man, but understand man, so as to escape the wrath of man and master man. Man is vicious, man is wicked, and you must know that he is. By knowing that he is wicked, you are able to handle him without fearing him. Meet the stare of man with your stare. Never cringe before the stare of man, otherwise he masters you. Develop enough courage, character, boldness, and self-confidence to look any man in the face and hold your ground. The first time you take your eyes off him because of his stare, he conquers you because you are unprepared. Look him straight in the eye. Keep him covered with your eye and let him bow and walk off, not you. This is the way man conquers the lion or a wild beast, by staring it in the eye. The moment he takes off his eye, the beast will spring upon him. The daring look of man conquers man. The self-confidence of man conquers man. The strong character of man conquers man. The conqueror is the fellow with the boldest and longest stare. He hypnotizes his victims and walks over him like a worm. Never be a worm. Try to never be obligated, for if you are obligated to a man, you cannot stir him to obedience. You will have to bow before him because he has a grip on you. Try then to be free from all obligations to any man, and thus always be yourself. God is pleased when man lifts himself to his true position in his kingdom of earth and heaven. Look to God. Ask him for strength. Ask him for courage in righteousness, and you will be able to battle in the world of men. Don't ask him for wealth, but ask him for wisdom, as Solomon did, and he will open up to you the greater knowledge of goodness. If you are good in your approach to him through prayer for wisdom. If you ask God for wisdom and understanding, you have everything else, because with wisdom and understanding, you will be able to take care of yourself. Therefore, ever pray to God for particular things, for individual things. He has already given all that is necessary for your existence in creation, and he has placed you as Lord and Master over them. Sorry, my screen went out. I'm sorry, my screen went out.
You want me to take over what?
Yes.
I got you. Let me know when you get settled. All right. I was eating some candy. Then why worry him in further prayer for these things? It is a waste of time. It is annoying. It is disgusting to God, if God can be disgusted. Seek ye first wisdom and understanding, and all life will unfurl itself to you through God. The mind and the soul are the receptacles of understanding and wisdom. Cleanse them with protection and approach the source who giveth them, and you shall be eternally blessed. Oh, the angels of heaven are the good spirits from earth and the other planets who have passed through their probation of original life. No man on earth is an angel. The angels are spirits, not men. And that's the end of 15, self-initiative.
Yes.
I think it was titled self-initiative, right? Any questions, comments on self-initiative? But you should, there should be a lot of statements that we've heard before. I'm not going to go through them right now. Of course, we'll go through them in the questions, but yeah, he builds on previous topics that he discussed in previous lesson.
Or your personality today?
Personality? Yeah. I would. Yeah, I would.
Lesson 15, personality. A thing to impress the world with is your own personality. Your makeup as a man or woman must be so clean cut as to leave nothing to suggest the incompleteness of a perfect person. Man is always disposed to respect and honor those who show themselves observant of all the rules of manly dignity and character. It is said by some philosopher that cleanliness is next to godliness. Therefore, always be clean cut in your appearance when you meet others, and particularly particularly the public. Never be slack in your appearance. At any time in meeting another person or persons, be neat and clean in appearance, even in your own household. Because the moment you throw off the reserve of your personality, you invite disrespect for your person. As far as your personal attire is concerned, always see that it is in style, in proper shape, and presentable before you appear outside of yourself. Always appear at your best, even though you may be suffering under the greatest difficulties of strain, because by that very good appearance, you may win support to enable you to get out of your difficulties. Down such an extent as to forget the presentness of your.
But it makes you breaking up.
Break it up.
Yeah, you breaking up. Never
let your difficulties weigh you down to such an extent as to forget the presentableness of your own personality. The world is always looking first for defects before they tabulate you. See that nothing is defective about your appearance, from your shoe to your dollar, from your toes to your head, from your nails to your mouth, for in search of this, they will strike upon the one defect. If there is one defect, they will say that you are careless about yourself and therefore will be careless about other things. To maintain a good personality, you must observe all the rules of hygiene. Personal sanitation adds to confidence in you and complete satisfaction. Your appearance adds to your personal confidence. With this personal confidence, you may face the world and win. With the personal defects, you naturally lose confidence and lose generally. Never let anybody persuade you to go anyhow, even though you are not presentable, because you are not going very far. It may be just in the short distance that somebody of importance with deep scrutiny may observe you and conclude that you are a slack person and cause you to lose much. A perfect personality made through proper care of oneself is a passport to anywhere in the world, socially and otherwise. Never go eating in the street. Never go eating in the street. Never go into company and expose your bad manners in any direction. Try to suppress those bad manners. Leave them at home. Eating and talking are bad manners in public, which are excusable and proper at the dining table. No matter how hungry you are, don't take your meals while walking, and never eat as an individual at a public meeting before the audience. You will lose their respect immediately for not having regular meal hours and having your meals in an improper place, which social regulations have established. A public platform is not a restaurant, nor a dining room. Don't eat or even chew gum in people's faces. It is always an ugly sight and shows gross disrespect for company. You may chew your gum in your home, but not on a public platform, nor at a public meeting. The man with a good appearance walks down the street with pride, courage, self-confidence, and self-respect. The man with a dirty shirt or dirty underwear and poorly kept clothes is self-consciously afraid of himself and therefore afraid of company. Hence, he is without
confidence in himself. A dirty person on the street is bound to be affected by the heat. The heat betrays his dirt to the passersby, and everybody looks around to see who it is. And as you are spotted, you become marked. And the odor you throw off as a result of the heat may become your social undoing in the community. So always be clean in appearance and in body. It costs very little because even with one suit, you may keep it so clean as to always be presentable to the public. It is better for the public to say, that man has been wearing that suit for a year, but it has always been well kept, than for the public to say, that man changes clothes, but he is always dirty. Never go on a platform with patched clothes because somebody will see the patch and surely come to the conclusion that you are patched up all around. When you go before the public, remember that they are looking at you, scrutinizingly from head to toe, back and front. They are going right through you, searching for something that reveals your true character. Disappoint them always by giving them the best you have in character, which is outwardly represented by your clean-cut appearance. I looked at a man. He was a beggar. His shoes were broken in many places and very dirty. His clothes were ragged and revealed dirt everywhere. His fingernails were black and dirty. His teeth were unkempt. His breath was foul. His shirt was black with dirt. He asked me for help. I gave him a penny and walked away because I thought it was enough, because he could not appreciate the use of more. I saw another beggar whose clothes were poor but clean. His pants revealed poverty, but they were also clean. I gave him a sovereign because I thought he could appreciate the use of it. There is a moral. People will judge you by your appearance, whether you are rich or poor, and they will deal with you accordingly. Never make it a custom to carry distress on your face or in your eyes. Never carry yourself as to suggest despondency and overburdening sorrow. People will learn to shun you. Keep smiling. Keep being pleasant and all the time, even if you are dying. It is better to be a pleasant corpse than a hideous, ugly-looking one. Show distress only when you may win help from those you approach, but be sure that you have struck a right estimate of your sympathy, of your sympathizers. To show sorrow to those not interested is to drive them away from you. Never show it to those who are not interested. When you are keeping an appointment, always appear at your best to justify the particular mission. For instance, if you're going to do big business, appear in a way to suggest that you are going to do big business. Appear in a way to suggest that you can maintain and live up to big business. If you are going to seek a job by an appointment, modify your dress so as not to outdress your prospective employer. If you are going begging for yourself, don't go flashingly dressed or overdressed, but dress in keeping with the kind of impression you would like to make upon your benefactor. This is purely a question of judgment. If you are going begging for a cause like the UNIA, you must not go as revealed personal beggar. You would cause the person to say to himself, why should I give him money for a cause when he looks like someone who begs for himself, cannot be trusted with such philanthropic responsibility for others? Never go asking help for a cause, caring not how lofty it is, looking hungry, distressed, and brokenhearted yourself. Nobody will believe your story. You're likely to be jailed until you can prove your sincerity. Win a good reputation in your community by being up to date in your personality. Let your individuality stand out clearly. Every man has an individuality. He is known by that individuality. The background of that individuality should be his clean-cut personality. Don't be lazy in whatever you have to do, because the laziness will grow on you and people will observe you and mark you as being lazy. If the news circulates, it will undo you. If you find a thing to do as a job or occupation, do it well and show interest in it until you have decided to do something else. But while you're doing it, do it to the best of your ability and put your personality and individuality behind it, because somebody observing or coming after you will say, this thing was well done by Jones or badly done by Jones. Your reputation is at stake. If you can choose your employment or occupation, then choose only the employment or occupation that will give you complete satisfaction in its practice, so that you may put your whole heart and soul in it and achieve the greatest good and the greatest result. To carelessly choose your occupation or employment and find afterwards that it does not suit your nature is a waste of time. If you dislike your employment or occupation, you will not concentrate on it and give the best result to your own benefit, because you will always be thinking of something else while mechanically doing what you are occupied with. Hence, to be your true self, always be sure to properly select the right occupation before you go into it. Never be frivolous in the public eye or in the eye of company, because they will mark you down as a frivolous and impressionable person. Always try to maintain the dignity of seriousness, or at least a poise that will suggest that you are a person of dignified reserve. To go giggling, prancing, and jumping about like a child stamps you as a clown. A man must be a man. A woman must be a woman, while a child must be a child. You are a child once, a man once, and a corpse once. In the 3 stages, you must behave according to nature. Prance and giggle as a child. Be serious and dignified as a man, and rest peacefully as a corpse. If you happen to make a mistake in getting employment or a position that is not suited to your nature and disposition while working at it, do the best you can to maintain your reputation. Exercise your effort to find the occupation or employment you are best suited for, and see that you do not make a second mistake, but find your right place in life. If you go on making mistakes of that kind, your life will end as a complete failure, because you will never be able to master anything, because your whole soul and heart was never in anything. Because you can impress others and get them to follow you or imitate you or accept your suggestion or anything higher in life, you must show evidence of success in it. No man who is not successful can teach others how to succeed. It is impertinence for a man who has not succeeded through his personality to suggest to other people how they can succeed. Therefore, make yourself a success, and other people will follow your advice because they see success in you. Never go among people better than yourself, telling them how to succeed, but use your illustration of success among others who have not succeeded, and that illustration must be in your own personality and individuality. To maintain a good personality and robust individuality, be sure to keep your body in proper physical condition. There is no better way to do this than at least once a week to take some kind of effective purgative. It will clean your system and give you clear vision and healthy thought with a responsive body, free of pain and ailments. Doing this regularly may lengthen your life from 10 to 20 years, because it keeps you in a state of health to resist the germs of disease. If you follow this practice, you may never have to see a doctor except on major physical matters. Never try to make an important speech with a clogged system. The poison of your system will get upon your mind and keep you so hazy in thought as not to reveal the mentality of your true self. When a person claims to feel bad and goes to a doctor, except it is an ailment resulting from a major cause, he always prescribes a purgative. Why pay $1 or $2 or 10 to get the same thing you may take at a cost of 5 cents? A clear system is always a prevention against threatening diseases. Keep your system clear at least once a week. If a motor car runs all the time without being cleaned or overhauled, it will suddenly one day break down, and it is iron. How much more will a human being not break down if he doesn't keep his system clear? Everything he eats does not pass out voluntarily. Some things remain in the system to breed germs of disease, which may affect you in all ways. The greatest insurance is to keep your system regularly cleansed. A heavy stomach or disordered stomach affects the whole nervous system. All the nerves are related in the human body, and they depend on the stomach, chiefly as a main artery of supply. If the stomach grows sick, it sends poisons throughout the whole body. Keep your stomach clear. It is better to be half hungry than wholly filled. Lesson 15.
Thank you, brother Omasius. That was lesson 15. Let me see if I remember. Hold on. Personality. I wasn't gonna get that. Lesson 15, personality. Any questions, comments? We are at the end of the class for this evening. So any questions, comments on lesson 15? Okay.
I do.
Go ahead.
Do you think that some of the things that he said that are archaic now to today's day and time, some of the things like not eating in public, always dressing to a certain level, a certain standard, myself, I think those are archaic because as a leader, sometimes you need to eat in public just to show that you are not become elitist almost in a sense, that you haven't been, that you're not larger than the group that are following you.
Right.
Also, just like I did the flyer for the convention, and on the picture, we originally had a picture of the PG in a T-shirt, and he said he didn't want that for that because of the image thing. But when he took that picture, it was in a public place. He was showing that he was still down with the people. And I think that's something that's needed sometimes as well.
I agree.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking that back in his day, they didn't have any fast food or a lot of open market restaurants. So it is kind of, I guess, archaic to say that.
Well, I would challenge that to an extent. My essence of what Garvey is trying to communicate is, as leaders, we should not give the impression of extreme need to the point of desperation. You know, we should have a level of, when it comes to the food, we should have a level of self-control. And again, you know, there was a previous lesson where Garvey talked about eating, and he said sometimes you got to eat before the event, you know, just so you're not displaying your hunger amongst people. So I understand the point of being relatable on the aspect of food, but I think this is more so, you know, I'm trying to think of the right way of saying it, but when you're obviously hungry and people can tell that you're hungry and you ain't been eating, you know.
I say.
President John, can I add to that too? Just a different also side too. I look at it as leaders as well. At a lot of these events, like you as a leader in the event, you will be kind of like the center of attention, where most of your time will be spent. People won't gonna want to talk to you. They should want to talk to you if you're the leader in the room, you know. And you know, if you at the food table getting food, you know, you really don't have that much time to be away like that as a leader in the room, because everybody will want your attention. So that's how I look at it too.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Like a mingling setting. where they have like a pool table.
But when you say that, brother, that makes me think about even at weddings, you know, the groom and the bride are the center of attention, but they still get, you know, a moment to eat.
Small moment. Everybody else want their attention after that.
Yeah. I think it's taking it to the level of appearing desperate and appearing like, you know, I've been there at times when I was younger, you know, where you'll hear people say like, "Oh man, you know, is his mom feeding him at home?" You know, because
Right.
you eat so much at somebody else's house. So I think that's where Garvey is coming from. Also, the time that year it was like regular. The time of year. Well, this is 37. You know, making sure you got a full belly stop. And then clothing. Again, clothing, you got to be careful. I understand the aspect of being relatable, but there's a difference. Like you can be normal and clean, or you can be dressed up and dirty. You know, Garvey talked about this. This is another one that Garvey talked about in the earlier lessons. You know, one for the suit example that's a repeat, but even if we are modest, you know, we should be clean and presentable, you know. So I don't think it's about being overly flashy, but it's about understanding the environment, you know. And Garvey even said, you know, like when you're trying to go for a job, you know, you don't want to look better than the employer. You know, when you're trying to seek funds, that you have to, you know, do it appropriately. You don't want to be too flashy at that time either. But I think the big thing that comes out for me from personality is about hygiene again. You know, I think you touched on it in leadership, but just being clean, being presentable, that adds to our confidence and our persona. Questions, comments? Okay, 9:42. We have completed lesson 15. Lesson 16 begins, in my opinion, the third level of the course. Where's my thing at? Let me see. Okay, here we go. So, is this over here? Let me come from current slide. Yes, here. So we went through 1 through 7 in the introduction. That's foundational. Even in lessons 8 through 15, we repeating, you know, things that were stated in lessons 1 through 7. In my opinion, this is just my opinion. Garvey don't say this. Charles L. James didn't say this, and Tony Martin didn't say this. But lesson 16 begins what I feel is our push to global nationhood. Propaganda. Garvey, he'll say it and we'll read it, but he'll say propaganda is everywhere. So it includes locally, it includes within our community, but it also includes globally. So we're finishing up. Personality kind of finishes up what I consider to be the community focus phase, you know, and us getting out into the community, understanding the society, having our own will, those type of things. So any questions, comments before we close out for tonight?
Great job as usual. And Brother Omasius, 2 chapters. Very good.
It got us caught up. We were behind. We had a slow start coming out of the holidays, so we're getting caught back up. Let me run through the attendance really quick. Sister Brenda, let's see here. Let me just make this. Why don't I just share the screen so I don't have to go back and forth? Sister Brenda, Brother Macius, Sister Kay didn't make it. Sister Marvia, Barbara, no. Brother Anthony, yes. Sister Lucaraba, Brother Bruce, no. Brother Macius, yes. Sister Sean, Mervin, no. Brother Everett, no. Yeah, Brother Art, yes. Brother James, yes. Chaplain Mitchell, no. Brother Andrew, no. Mama Mina, no. Sister Erica, yes. J.K. Kenwardo.
Brother Andrew is here. Did you say no?
Oh, okay.
I'm here, Brother John.
You're so quiet.
All right, man.
Come down, further down. He's one of those I didn't know the last name at first, so he's out of order.
Thank you, Brother Andrew. Thank you, Sister Brenda.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't have anything else. 9:46. We are 11 minutes past our time. Baba James, will you do us the pleasure of closing us out?
Repeat after me. One God,
One God,
one aim,
One
aim,
one destiny.
one destiny.
Africa,
Africa,
for the Africans,
For
For the
the
Africans,
those at home,
those
those
that
at home,
and those abroad.
and those
those abroad.
Lord.
Race first.
Race first.
First family, do some rest, and we'll be back next week with propaganda questions from these two lessons.
Brother John, did you have Mama Earth on here?
Yvette, that's Yvette.
Yeah.
Yes.
Williams,
Okay. Yeah, you got it. Okay.
Glad you reminded me. All right. We got everybody.
You did. Oh, you marked Brother Marua. He wasn't here. That's what you did. You marked the wrong one.
All right. Thank you for that. And we'll see y'all next week.
All right.
First.
First.